Okay, are you ready? Okay, it says a conical reservoir, vertex down, is 8 inches in diameter and 12 inches deep. Then it says it's leaking water at a rate of 2 inches per minute. What rate is the water level dropping when the water is 6 inches deep? Okay, so this is a find, given, when. So let's draw our picture first. Here's our reservoir. It says it's vertex down. And then it tells us the dimensions of the reservoir. This is a very small reservoir. Okay, 8 inches across. Then what's the radius? 4. And then it says that it is 12 inches deep. So from here to here, that's 12. Now, let's talk about real quick. Is the 4 and the 12 constant, or is it changing? The size of the container is going to be constant. Now, what's changing is that the water level, depending on where it's at, is going to have its own radius and its own height. Yeah? Good with that? So I'm going to call my R this and my H this. So remember, you have the size of the container, but you also have a different size of where the water's at and how much water's in there. Okay, so let's do our find, given, when. And then obviously the equation is already written for you right here. Okay, so what are we finding if we want to know the rate the water level is dropping? What would that be? dV dt, dr dt, dH dt. Water level would be H, because it's how high the water is. Okay, now they told us that it's leaking water at 2 cubic inches per minute. Cubic inches is a measurement of volume or radius. Those are the only 2 letters left. Volume. Okay, should dV dt be positive 2?
No.
It should be negative because it's leaking, right? So it's happening to your volume. It's decreasing. Okay, then my when, it says when the water is 6 inches deep, that's my height. Now, if I am to take the derivative right now, what rule would I need if it's a third pi r squared h? I would need product rule, unless I can get rid of a letter. So come back over here. Okay, you have similar triangles. So if you don't remember this, that's okay. That's why we're reviewing it. Okay, but I have this triangle, and then I have my little green triangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a proportion. So I'm going to put r over h for my little triangle equals, and then what would the sides be of the big yellow triangle? I have to go in the same order. So if it's radius over height, it would be 4 over 12. Now, if I want h, then I need to solve for r so that I can take r out. So I'm going to take my h here, I'm going to multiply it across to the other side. So now r equals, instead of 4 over 12, I'm going to reduce that to a third h. And then I'm going to use this as a substitute into my original equation so that I don't have any more r's in there. Okay? So we're coming back over here to our original equation. It's going to be v equals 1/3 pi. Then when I get to r, I'm plugging in a third h squared times h. Now you could take the derivative right now, but I want to reduce that first. So I have a third pi. 1/3 squared is a 9th. And then if this is h squared times another h, that's really h cubed. Okay, let's take the derivative. What is the derivative of v? You know it. dV dt. Good. And then on this other side, when I take the derivative, the 3 is going to times down with the 1/3 and give me what? What's going to happen with 3 times a third? Just cancel out. It's a 1. So then I'm going to have pi 9ths h squared dH dt. And remember, the dH dt comes in because I'm taking the derivative of an expression with an h. Okay? Then from there, you're just plugging stuff in. What's my dV dt? -2 equals pi ninths. My h is 6. And then dH dt is my unknown. Then from there, what is 6 squared here? 36 divided by 9 is 4, so -2 equals 4 pi dH dt. Then my last step, I divide by 4 pi, that'd be my answer. Now, on a quiz that I gave y'all on this, some of y'all wrote your answer like this. Okay, it was dH dt equals -2 over 4 pi. Is that fine? No. Where does pi need to be clearly written? On the bottom. Okay, you can't just have it out to the side. If you're dividing by 4 pi, the 4 and the pi both have to be in the bottom. Okay? Alright, next one we're going to look at is 46. Or, I'm sorry, 64. Sorry. Okay, it says a particle moves along the parabola x squared in the first quadrant in such a way that its x-coordinate increases at a constant rate of 10. How fast is the angle of inclination of the line joining the particle to the origin changing when x is 3? Okay, lots going on there. Let's start with the picture. Okay, what does y equals x squared look like? We know this. It's a what? Y equals x squared. Parabola, and it goes through the origin, right? Okay, now, where's my point? In which quadrant? In the first quadrant. So, put a point right here. We'll say this is x, y. Okay, then it says, how fast is the angle of inclination of the line joining the particle to the origin? That's your theta. Now, with all of the times that you were in pre-cal that you had to look at crap like this, you know it's going to be a triangle, so just draw it in there. Okay, now instead of thinking about that as an ordered pair, I'm going to relabel my sides. I'm going to call this side x. I'm going to call this side y. So far, so good? Okay, now I want you to try to fill in your find given when, now that we have a good picture. Okay, for the find, it says, how fast is the angle of inclination, blah, blah, blah. What would that be? D what, dt? D theta dt. Okay, then we were given some stuff. It says its x-coordinate increases at 10 meters per second. What would that be? Dx dt or dy dt? Okay, dx dt. And then if it's increasing, that would be a positive 10. Then it gives me a when here. It says when x is 3. Okay? Joseph, is that you making that weird clicking noise? I just don't know what it is. Am I do y'all hear it?
No. Yeah.
It's like you hear it? Okay. Okay, so now the equation is going to be the tricky part here. Okay, but think about, if I want to do the sides of the triangle, what are the sides that I know stuff about? Which two? The x side and the y side. Which trig function has only those two sides in it? Will it be SO, CA, or TOA? Which one? Tangent. Because I don't want to have the h in it, because the h is this side, and I don't know anything about h. So I'm going to pick tan theta. And then remember, it has to be opposite over adjacent. What's the opposite side? Which letter? It'd be y over x, right? Okay, now, if I take the derivative now, I'm going to end up with the d theta dt. We want that. But I'm also going to have to do a quotient rule here, unless I can substitute like I did on that other problem. So think about, do I know anything about y that I could substitute it out to be an x instead? Answer is yes. Look at the question. What do we know about y equals? It's the same as x squared. So I'm going to take my y equals x squared, and I'm going to sub it in right here. And then I only have x's. I can take the y out. Yeah? So it would be y tan theta equals. And then it would be x squared over x, which is the same as tan theta equals x overall. So I did a substitute here, and then I simplified that to just give me an x. Now I'm going to take the derivative. What's the derivative of tan theta? Okay, secant squared theta d theta dt, right? What's the derivative of x on the other side? Dx dt, good. And then when I want to evaluate secant squared theta, you can only do that two ways. If you know theta, you can just plug it in. Do we know theta? No. Okay, or you can use the sides of the triangle. Okay, which is what we're going to have to do. Now, real quick, if my x is 3 in the triangle, what is y equal to, we said? Y is x squared. So if x is 3, what is y? 9. So put right here in your when, if x is 3, y has to be 9. So y is 9. And if I know that x is 3 and I know that y is 9, can I find the third side by Pythagorean theorem? Yes? Okay, I'm going to do it in my calculator. Or actually, we don't need the calculator. What's 3 squared? 9. What's 9 squared? What's 81 plus 9? So this side has to be the square root of 90. And so then if I'm doing secant, remember that secant is 1 over cosine. So I'm going to find the cosine and then I'm going to flip it. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So secant would be hypotenuse over adjacent. What's my hypotenuse side? Root 90. What's my adjacent side to theta? Is it the 3 or the 9? It'd be the 3. Okay, then remember that it is squared, and then d theta dt is my unknown, and then dx dt is 10. Now, from here, when you square square root 90, what do you get? Just a 90. What do you get when you do 3 squared on the bottom? 9. And then what is 90 divided by 9 the same as? 10. So then I have 10 d theta dt equals 10. Then d theta dt is what? 1. So divide by 10, divide by 10. D theta dt is 1. Oops, can't see it. Got it? Okay, I'm going to do one more from that section with you. Real quick on 65, look at your curve here. It says xy plus x is 6. When you take the derivative of that, what rule are you going to need on the xy part? Product rule. Okay, so right here, if you want to put a little note, you're going to need product rule on that one. Okay? Alright, the other thing that we're going to do right now, before I give you some time to work, is going to be, flip backwards please. We're going to do one of these guys. One of the implicits. We're going to do number 58, because it's got a little bit of everything. Okay, so it says, written in terms of x and y, find dy dx. Okay, my first term is 4xy. What rule is that going to need? Product rule. My u is going to be 4x, my v is going to be y. If u is 4x, that means that u prime is 4. If v is y, then v prime is dy dx. And so then when I do my cross products, it'll be 4y plus 4x dy dx. Okay, next term. So we did our product rule. That's this term. What's the derivative of 2y cubed? 6y squared only? Dy dx. Do I keep the 7 on the other side? No, derivative of 7 is 0. Then remember from there, anything that does not have a dy dx has to go to the other side. Specifically, that would be my 4y coming across to be a negative 4y. Then from there, out of the terms that remain, they both have a dy dx. That means that I can factor that out to the front. I would have a 4x plus 6y squared left over. And then my last step to solve would be to take this term multiplied with the dy dx, divide it into the denominator. So it would be dy dx equals negative 4y on top, and then 4x plus 6y squared in the denominator. Part B says, write the equation of the line tangent to the curve at 1, 1. Remember, we want to practice our labeling. So you'd go like that. And then I'd plug that point in. So on top, negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. On bottom, 4 plus 6 would be 10. So it's negative 2 fifths. And then for the equation, you have the point, it was given to you 1, 1. You have the slope now, so you do y minus 1, negative 2 fifths, x minus 1. Good? Okay, part C. Are there any points where the slope is horizontal? If the slope is horizontal, what do I set equal to 0? The top or the bottom? Okay, very good. Horizontal, you're going to set the numerator equal to 0. Now, skip to part D. When I want an undefined slope, what will I set equal to 0? The denominator. Very good. Okay, and that is on your cheat sheet that you get to use on your exam, but hopefully you remember it too. So let's set the top equal to 0 first. Negative 4y equals 0. Well, then divide by negative 4 on both sides. What is y? 0. Now, then look what it says. Are there any points where the slope is horizontal? Well, I found a y value. How do I find the other half of the point? Go back to the original. Very good. So, this is not a point. I'm going to go back and find the point using the original. Okay, do that for me now. And watch what happens. Find the point using the original. So I'd have 4x 0 plus 2 0 cubed equals 7. Well, can I solve that for x if x is multiplied by 0? No, you get 0 plus 0 equals 7. Does that going to have any solutions? Okay, so there are no solutions where y is 0. And if there are no places that y is 0, then are you going to have any horizontal slopes? So no horizontal slopes. Okay, because if you get a y value, there has to also be an x that goes with that, and that's the problem. Okay, now part D says to find where the points are where you have an undefined slope. So for this one, we're expecting to get an answer. So I'm going to set the denominator equal to 0. 4x equals 4x plus 6y squared equals 0. Remember, on the AP test, you would get a point just for knowing what to set equal to 0, even if you do it wrong. Okay, I'm going to take my 6y squared, I'm going to minus it across, and then I'm going to divide by 4. Now, I am not going to reduce. You'll see why in a second if you don't already. Okay, I have a substitution. I'm going back to sub now into my original equation, which I'm going to rewrite as 4xy plus 2y cubed equals 7. Okay, when I sub in this stuff for x, Why would I want to leave this as a 4 on the bottom? What's right in front of x? Another 4, and those are going to cross out. So that's why I didn't reduce, but it wouldn't be wrong if you did. So I have 4 substitute. Negative 6y squared over 4 times y plus 2y cubed equals 7. And then, like I just said, I see that those 4's are going to conveniently cross out with each other. So gone, gone. And if it's negative 6y squared times another y, that's really negative 6 what? Y cubed. And then I have a plus 2y cubed. How many is that together? Negative, add negative 4. This is supposed to be a 6. So negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4y cubed equals 7. Then I divide by negative 4 on both sides. So I have y cubed is negative 7/4. Then what would my last step be? Cube root. Are you allowed to cube root a negative number? Yes. Are you allowed to square root a negative number? No. So if you square rooted, you'd say no solutions. But cube root is allowed. So y is going to be the cubic root of negative 7/4. Now, it asks me here to find values of x. I have found a value of y. So I've not answered the question. I just need to plug this back into right here. Now, are you going to have to do a bunch of simplifying? No. Remember, this is an FRQ. So I'm going to come back here, then x equals negative 6/4. Then I'm going to plug in my cubic root of negative 7/4, and I'm going to square it, and that's my answer. So I would take essentially this answer right here that I got for y, and I'm just going to plop it in right there into my negative 6/4y squared. And then leave it alone. You're done, because it's an FRQ. Okay, makes sense? Okay, I'm going to give you like 15 minutes. Okay, I want you to work through the ones in between that we skipped. Okay, work together, ask if you need help. Okay, and then we'll do one more off that next page. You should try to get today, so that you don't have a bunch of homework, to about number 68-ish. If you can get to 68, then I'd say you're right on track, because then you just have a little bit left to do the next 2 days. Okay? So if you get through 67, then you should not have to take a bunch of work home over the weekend. Okay? So we're working. You can do it. Do you need a pencil? No. Okay, great. Then let's work. So if you know what x is, you plug it in. Okay, you would do substitution if you have, so like on this one, you know dy dt, that's why you don't want to get rid of y. Because you know dy dt. The reason we had to get rid of r is because we didn't know the argument. Or like on this one, we didn't know dy dt. So it's like if you don't know dy dt, or at least want dy dt, then that letter has to go. Versus on this one, if I know dy dt, then I have to keep that. Good?
But right here it says $5 million.
Okay, I love that you did your homework. I'd love for you now to do this homework, which is a test grade. A much more important homework.
If you saved a penny and doubled it for 3 days, that's $5 million.
I did know that.
That's crazy.
What is this?
I was counting 3 days.
For pennies?
Yeah.
Okay, so this seems not important.
No, I said it's very important. That's how
I mean, you should save your money.
Let's go play football.
Huh?
Exactly. And then
Let's
you
play
can find
football.
questions.
I mean, if you can find a bank that will double your investment every day, then that would be a practical way to become.
And those banks are stupid. Look at how
Those banks don't exist, so let's get an education instead, you know? You know what I'm saying?
Does that double our investment every day?
Your education doubles, triples even.
Miss
No one can ever take
Aren't you a
your
millionaire?
education.
I
My
am working
education
here.
declining every day.
I'm talking about like, it doubles your mind investment.
Does it really though? Does your brain get twice as big?
Rose says
It
I don't
doesn't
want
have to
anything.
grow in size
No,
to
I'm
grow in
joking.
strength.
Whatever that means, but okay.
Okay, we're working. We're working.
I don't like doing anything.
How's it going, ladies? Good?
I look, you just feel like taking a year off school. Yeah. But then if I take a year off, I'm taking another year off.
Doing okay? Good. How's it going over here? Pretty good. You
I'll
know,
do this over the weekend.
I love to help. Let me know. Okay, scrub. Scrub it up. Let's go. We did like a bunch of crap and you didn't do anything. Why?
Because I'd rather do it by myself and actually
What?
practice. Because when I do it, I just copy the numbers and I don't know like
Okay. I just said okay. I just replied to your comment.
so I don't take notes.
That was a disappointed okay.
Because so could you do it now and I'll just leave you alone?
No, I don't feel like doing it now though. That's a problem.
Shut up, bro.
I'll do it at 10:30. I'm just too lazy to do it.
What does that mean? Tell me.
I don't know, it's like something derivative. I have no
Yeah.
idea.
What is it in the graph?
I have no idea.
It's the slope.
It's the slope.
Derivatives are slopes, right?
Oh yeah, primes.
Yep, primes, good.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know some word recognition. Good
Oh, yeah.
start.
Some word.
Division, addition, subtraction.
Okay.
I'm still back there.
You should go back to the original.
So I played 1 or 2.
Uh-huh. Good job, Sean. I love that you're working.
Nice job, Sean.
Unlike
Having
some
something to scrub teeth.
Can you give everyone candy but Kevin?
So,
He has terrible behavior in this class. He throws pencils all the time. He sits in his
Sean?
seat. No, Grant. Grant's the worst one.
I'm pretty low on candy, so...
Can you give me?
And I gave y'all candy yesterday and I didn't give third candy.
Well, they're
So I'm
scrubs.
gonna give them candy
They're
today.
scrubs.
Oh, man!
That's a scrub
Nobody
class.
else likes the banana Laffy Taffy.
Oh, y'all take those.
I'll take
There will
those.
be some left over tomorrow for me to share with you.
Oh, shucks.
Let's go forward.
And I actually bought some Chips Ahoy, but I left them at home.
Miss Grant's not supposed to have candy.
Because my phone died, so my alarm didn't go off, so I woke up late.
I need your phone to go off.
I mean, I hate my cat, and I was hiding under the covers from my cat so it wouldn't touch me. And so I was like playing on my phone under the covers. I was playing Slither.io. And then I like fell asleep playing Slither.io, but my
Why
phone
do you have a
wasn't
cat
plugged
if
in.
you hate the cat?
Oh, I hate, my son loves the cat.
Just kill the cat or something. Just throw it in the garbage. Just dispose of it.
Animal cruelty.
Garbage? It's a living being.
I want to know.
So-
Wait.
Just open the trash can lid. Put it in
What
there and
is your
like
problem, dude?
Kevin.
That's not okay.
That's not funny.
Yeah, we're gonna put you in the trash can next if you don't shut up.
Are y'all friends in real life?
No, I hate Grant. I'm joking. Ain't no more game like this.
We're getting my version.
Grant and I are pretty good friends. Dude.
I bet if I put my cat in the trash can, it would haunt me for the rest of my life.
Oh wow, a cat goes. Oh, I'm so scared. What is he gonna do? Meow at you for the rest of your life?
I was also under the covers because I was watching Criminal Minds, and in the episode, this murderer guy was like drilling into people's heads to kill them.
Oh, why are you watching this?
I did it while I was grading my Algebra 2 test. It was very scary.
Did you make sure to take the second graded test?
I don't know if you did.
Hey, what's scarier, the Algebra 2 grades or the serial killer?
The Algebra 2 grades were bad.
Or Yosef's grades? Which one are worse?
My grades are
I mean,
too scary.
yours are bad. But I do have worse in algebra. You just hit a 50. That's improvement.
Wow, so impressive. You're like half as many points as me.
Okay,
Wow,
Kevin.
Boy.
Rank number 2 in their class.
I'm not rank number 2.
Ironically, neither y'all are throwing shade at each other, and neither of y'all have written anything this whole class period. So
Yes, I have.
I have.
you did write some of the examples we did
Yes,
together.
yes.
That's I also wrote
Yes.
one exam.
Oh, okay. I take back my shade.
Look, I did
Come
one.
back to the sun. Get you in the sun.
I did this one. I did 68.
Okay, it's a start.
Start. That's a
Start.
finish as well. That's right.
It's not a finish. Yes. If it's relative, that would work. If it's absolute, you have to make a chart.
He sure is.
That would be just the table labeled and then what the amounts, that's all you. You have a free response on Monday. Did I tell you all that?
Yeah.
No.
I didn't?
Yes, she did.
Okay, so the plan for exam week is that your review is gonna be due on Monday and you're gonna take an FRQ in class.
You said Tuesday. You didn't say Monday. You said you would give us the examples on Monday and then.
So your FRQ, you'll have 3 questions, 1 with the calculator, 2 without. And then you'll have the whole class period to do all 3, but keep in mind they'll have multiple parts. And I will give you on Friday, and maybe I'll give it to you tomorrow if you want it early, but I'll give you 4 questions. 3 of them are like the 3 you're going to get on Monday. And then 1 of them is just extra, so you don't know exactly which 3. And it'll have the answer key attached, so that you can check it as you do it and ask questions.
The second one is the one.
I think
No
I'll be
one
able to tell if it's 2 calculator and 1 not. I think we'll be able to tell which
It's
one.
1 calculator. Okay,
You said
obviously.
2. You said 2 calculators.
I don't know what I did for that, but you'll get them. You'll get the key. It'll be attached so that you can check it. And your FRQ's Monday. And then it's balanced. It'll be 60% multiple choice, 40% for your response for your final grade.
And when is the final from this class?
How
Let
many
me tell
multiple
you.
choice are there?
I think it's like 40. Second period, y'all are on Friday.
Like,
Yep.
Oh, that's like the
So you'll take your FRQ here, and then I will only see you a couple of these days because of the way the exam schedule is, and then y'all's exam is Friday. And you'll already know what you got on your FRQ by the time you take this.
0, I guess.
Great. Okay, keep working.
Yes, ma'am.
I love that some of y'all are working hard. Some.
All of us.
No, not you.
Man, be quiet. You want to go to the trash can next time? We're gonna stuff you in.
Okay, that's bullying. I'm gonna have to file a report.
Okay, go ahead. I don't like this school anyways. I want to hear a review.
You don't like this school?
Hey, would you guys send your kids to Berkner?
Yes, I would. I think it's a very respectable high school compared
Yeah.
to most high schools.
I am. I'm gonna make sure he like does AP or pre-AP. Cause I can't have him in these regular classes I teach. Whew.
You get a contact high. Was it secondhand smoke?
Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Secondhand smoke from being in the regular classes.
I think Miss Jordan is always high. That's why she's always laughing. Oh, I saw that.
I have never even smoked
But
anything.
there's so much weed
Except,
here.
okay, one time I was peer pressured into smoking a
alright.
vape. And it was at a teacher function. I like regretted it. I've never smoked anything. It was like a blueberry. She was like, "Come on, do it." And it was my first year here. And I was like, "No, I don't smoke." And she was like, "It doesn't even have nicotine in it. It's just flavored water." And I was like, "I'm good." And then I like wanted to be cool. And I was like,
What a
"Fine."
You a teacher?
Huh? It was at like a teacher party.
Teachers have parties.
You hit that?
It was just blueberry water. It didn't have anything bad. She said it didn't even have nicotine.
She lied to
lied
you.
right there.
She lied, it's not water.
She's so gullible.
No, you can pick to not have it in there. She told me.
You could have like
Then what's the point of just drink the flavored
Huh?
water instead of...
Because it tastes good like blueberries.
just eat blueberries.
Yes, blueberries.
Okay, I told you it was a mistake.
She's so gullible, man.
I was peer pressured into it. Okay.
She's so gullible.
Did you like start like
What if
seeing
it was like
things
the
No, it literally just tasted like blueberries and then it was over.
dab pen?
Did you feel a buzz? Did you?
A teacher would not have a dab pen. Isn't dab weed?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
They had K2 in this.
Okay, I would have been like eating my arm. It was K2. Come on, people.
Let's take derivatives. Come on.
The derivative of the dab.
Mr. Just stop making all these drug jokes.
You know, people that make
What
drugs
if
are
this
like
case
the
works
people
in-
that make the drugs are lucky, like super
I
smart.
have less teeth than you.
Like when I watch movies. I don't know if that's like that in real life.
Then pull out 14.
3 ounces of cocaine.
You eat 3 ounces.
734.
0.734 what?
Okay, no one would trust either of y'all to make their drugs.
I'm not a drug.
I would like.
Are you blind?
No, I'm Ethiopian.
Okay. Does that count? That's in Africa, isn't it?
It's in,
All the
In
other
Africa.
I don't know if he's joking or not.
I know, I don't know if he's joking. That's African. I think it
it's
counts.
not. No. It's Asia.
Oh my gosh.
What do you count it as? Just Ethiopian. You don't like the generic. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Ethiopian.
Can you
My
like
worst.
speak another language?
Your boss can. She's very good at it.
Are you Ethiopian too? And y'all's hair is like the same.
Are these racial stereotypes?
Okay.
Miss Ritter is such a bad person.
Why?
Miss Ritter, please step outside the class. You're banned from entering.
My little niece has like really cute afro hair, and she kept like picking at it and stuff. So my sister just like shaved it really tight, and she told her until she will take care of her hair, she can't have it. Because she would like pay to get it like done, and then she'd like throw sand in it on the playground and like get it filthy, and it costs a bunch of money and like takes forever to fix it. So anyway, now she has like a little mini afro, like really short. She like has to wear a bow to not look like a boy. All right, here we go. 60. Hopefully you got the first part right. I don't, but I'm going to make one and send it Friday. Well, Thursday night, so that you can check it and ask questions Friday. So for this one, you would get dy dx equals, it'd be a negative 6y over 6x. This should look very familiar. This is almost exactly what happened on your test that a lot of y'all have corrected. So remember, if it's a 6 on top and a 6 on bottom, you should cross them out. Okay, I don't want to do part A, but for part C, I'm sorry, I don't want to do part B, but for part C, it says to find the second derivative. What rule would you need to use to take the second derivative of that? Quotient rule. So your high would be y. That's wrong. Negative y. You have to include the negative in your quotient rule. And then your ho would be x. Your d high would be negative dy dx. Your d ho would just be 1. And then when you do your second derivative, d squared y dx squared, it would be ho d high. Okay, you can use product rule if you write x to the negative 1. A lot of the BC kids do that. That's fine. The only thing I would say about doing that is that if you have to get a common denominator, sometimes it's a pain in the butt. But it is never wrong, but sometimes it'll make you have to do extra work later. So it'd be ho d high, so x negative dy dx, minus high d ho would be a 1. Not going to write that. And then over x squared. Then my minus and negative on the y turns to a plus. So I have negative x dy dx plus y over x squared. Now from here, I need to plug in my point in part D. So think about, oh, we never went back and found the point. Okay, if my y is 1, how do I find the x that goes with that in part B? If it's something comma 1, what would I need to use, the derivative or the original for the point? The original. So I would plug in here for my 6xy. Minus 1 is 17. I would plug in that my y is a 1. So now it's just 6x minus 17. Minus 1 is 17. So I'd add the 1 across, then 6x is 18, which means that x is what? It'd be 3. Okay, so let's say now in this part that I want the point at 3 comma 1, because that's what we're doing in part D. Okay, here's the problem. When I plug stuff in, I have an x, I have a y. I also need to know what dy dx is. So you should have done this in that previous part, but if you haven't already, we need to go back and do it so we know what to plug in for here. So I'm going to do dy dx, 3 comma 1, and then remember my y is on top, so it'd be negative 1/3. And that's what I'll plug in here for this point. Okay? So it'd be negative x is negative 3, dy dx is negative 1/3, plus y is a 1, over x squared would be 3 squared. Okay, from there, what is negative 3 times negative 1/3? That would be 1 plus 1 is 2, 3 squared is 9. Okay, now look at your analysis in part D. It says, is your answer an over or an underestimation? Remember that it's concavity that tells you that. So if my second derivative came out to be positive 2 over 9, what does that tell me about my concavity? It's concave up. And if it's concave up, where will the tangent line be? On the bottom. So look, if it's concave up, then wherever my tangent line is, it's going to cut underneath that graph. So this is what you would say, d squared y dx squared at 3, 1 is greater than 0. So y is concave up around x equals 3. Then the tangent line is below. The actual value. And remember, you do have to hit those 3 points. You have to state that the second derivative is positive, so the graph is concave up around 3, which means the tangent line is below. And those would be like your 3 important pieces that you'd have to make sure that you hit. Okay? All right. We still have several more minutes. Look back at all the previous days. Do y'all have questions we need to do from other days that y'all can't get? Nothing? Okay. Are you sure? Did y'all get 37? Did you try 37? Okay, Trujillo, we don't trust you. 37, did you do it already?
That was 5.
Okay, no. Actually, 5 is close. Okay, look at it. Okay, if I have a horizontal asymptote at 5, how do you find horizontal asymptotes? It's a set of rules. Okay, horizontal asymptotes are Bobo, Botten, and Betsy. So if I want my asymptote to be 5, look at your equation. Which letter is that going to tell me?
A.
A. it would have to be y equals 5x over x, right? Because if I want it to come out to be 5, that would be the numbers in the front, right? So I know my a has to be 5. Okay, now I still have a plus b and I have a plus c. The other thing it tells me is that I have a vertical asymptote at -2. Do vertical asymptotes belong on the top or on the bottom? Vertical asymptotes need to make the bottom 0. So if -2 makes it 0, what would c have to be? +2. Because think about it, if I plug in -2 with a +2, that would give me 0 on the bottom, that would make me have an asymptote. So then plus b, we don't know b. Okay, but which are the two that it's asking you to add together? It says to find a and c and then do a plus c. So my a was a 5, what was my c? C was a +2, so then 5 plus 2 is 7. Good. Let's do 38 while we're at it, right below that. Where is it discontinuous? And then classify as removable or non-removable. Remember that a removable is a whole. Which one should the factors cancel on? A whole or a non-whole? Which one do they cancel on? Do you remember? Yes, this is the one where the factors cancel. And then for a non-removable, the factor doesn't cancel. Okay, so y'all, this was on your very, very first test that we took. So factor the top. What can I take out of 2x minus 2? Okay, so f would be 2 times x minus 1. Okay, on the bottom, how can I factor x squared plus 3x minus 4?
X minus 1, x minus 3.
Good. X minus, 3. Oh wait, hold on. No, it can't be that. Because they have to times to 4, yeah? So it'd be plus 4 here. Yeah? Okay, and so then from there, which one crosses out? That's going to leave a hole in the graph. If x minus 1 crosses out, then the hole is at x equals 1. Remember that a hole is a removable discontinuity. And then whatever's left over that makes the bottom 0 is a vertical asymptote, just like we did on the question before that. So if x plus 4 is left over, where's the asymptote at? It'd be at -4, right? Okay? Now, quick question. Which of those does the limit still exist for? Would it be for the hole or the asymptote? Which one still has a limit? The hole still has a limit because you're going to the same spot on either side. But if you have an asymptote, it's going to infinity, so you'd say your limit doesn't exist. Okay, good job. Y'all should have a couple minutes left. Make sure that you're going through the questions we missed so that if you don't know how to do one, you can ask about it. Okay? Good job.